Hey, it's weird. I'm just sitting here brainstorming. I just wrote a poem. You want to hear it?
Okay, yeah, sure.
It goes something like this. Beer is nice, beer is good, beer goes down the way it should. Fast. I wrote that.
How are you still single?
I know, I don't get it either.
Travel Guys here in Kirkland, Washington next. Great poet.
Hi, I'm Jim Gordon.
And I'm Darren Parkman.
And we are the Travel Guys.
Where are we this time? Well, we are smack dab in the middle of the Pacific Northwest in the beautiful lakeside city of Kirkland, Washington.
That's right, pal. Coming up, we're going to go right to the top and meet this city's wonderful mayor.
Does she know we're meeting her?
I'm not sure.
We'll find out, I guess. We will see how the other half lives when we take a tour of Lake Washington.
And we'll head into nearby Seattle to check out the Museum of Pop Culture, also known as...
Mopop.
Yes.
Mopop. All that and a lot more coming up, so stick around. The doggy. Well, we feel somewhat important and honored, actually, to be here with the actual mayor of Kirkland. This is crazy. We're with Penny Sweet. Thanks for having us in your great city.
Your Excellency, Your Highness, can we...
Your Highness, Your Royal Highness.
Your Royal Highness.
The Right Honorable Penny Sweet would be good.
Okay. Hey, let's talk about what we've been walking around Kirkland the last couple of days. Let's talk about what's going on business-wise here. It's very busy, open for business. Let's talk about what's going on downtown.
Lots of stuff going on downtown. As you have noticed, I'm sure, we're bursting. We're building. We have tons of new businesses coming into town. I know you were up at Kirkland Urban. You can look out from there. It's connected to parks. It's connected to downtown. It's lively. There's more nightlife coming to the city. We're having a good time. It's fun to be a business in downtown Kirkland.
Now, we are surrounded by wine bottles right now. We're in a fabulous wine store, which also happens to be associated with yourself. Tell us about this wine store we're in right now.
Well, my husband and I, let me try to think, 35 years ago, we opened this wine store.
Wow. Was there even wine stores around 35 years? You must have been one of the first.
There were almost no wineries around.
I know.
There were 13 wineries in the state of Washington. There are over 1,000 wineries. 13, right. And most of them are gone.
Yeah, okay.
So it has been a labor of love to be able to bring a product that we were very interested in to the community that we loved. 20 years ago, my husband was the mayor.
Well, it runs in the family.
Wow.
Runs in the family.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He's currently our state representative, but we love wine. We wanted to share that love of wine, and Kirkland has just been this fabulous place to be able to do that.
You mentioned that Kirkland is growing leaps and bounds, but we talked to a lot of people today in the downtown area. It still has a nice hometown feel. It's a lakeside community still, and it still has that kind of intimate feel, doesn't it?
It does, and we've been very intentional about that. We have lots of opportunities to go up, closer to the freeway, further away from the water.
I would say probably the best thing about Kirkland is being able to walk down from your school and come to a lovely neighborhood and downtown area like this and feel safe.
It has a lot of parks, a lot of free green space, and lots of nice people.
Previous councils were able to put together this chain of waterfront parks that simply would be overwhelmed if we were to really grow up.
And if you're looking for a place to decompress, if you want to get away from the big city, Kirkland's your place.
It is.
this is kind of cool. We're actually on a vintage boat today. It's one of those 1950s Chris Craft vessels. They're very cool looking though, with the wood grain and.
You said actually these are really a hot commodity, are they not?
Very
for
very
brides?
collectible. This was the boat of its day. And a lot of people are restoring them, and they got a cool look to them. Real vintage.
Great way to see the wealthy parts of Lake Washington.
That's right. We can look at things we're never going to be a part of.
Pretty much, yes.
Well, there's a lot of money here on Lake Washington. We've seen a lot of it here today. Behind us is the very famous house, actually, of the founder of Microsoft, Bill Gates. And he's what, the second richest man in the world?
Yeah, and I think his rival is just down the lake there a little bit. Jeff Bezos has a place, as we saw earlier.
Who was the richest man?
Who was the richest man? That's right.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is, too, look at the size of that place, and we're not seeing all of it.
No, a lot of it's built into the side of the
Yeah,
mountain here,
yeah.
but boy, it is massive. Look at the size of that. It's got a real kind of earth tony look to it,
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
Very cool looking. Well, sir, we're back in one of the best cities on the West Coast, Seattle, Washington. We've been here a few times before. I've noticed it's cleaner than it used to be and trendier than it used to be.
Yeah, great food scene in this town. Every time we come to this town, though, we come to the Pike Market.
Pike Place Market, yeah.
Pike Place Market, where we've some interesting things in that place.
Remember when I caught that big honking salmon?
Come on, baby! Wow, that was well done.
Thank you.
Why don't you just go there and do it now?
Well, I was a younger man when that happened.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I don't have the arms anymore for it. You know.
Okay.
I'm out of breath just walking down the street
No,
right
I'm just
now.
watching
Yeah.
you. Yeah, it's pretty sad.
Well, wherever myself and Jim Gordon go in the world, we must sample the brews. Whatever city we're in, that's not negotiable, that's mandatory. And we are here at the Pike Brewing Company with our new best friend, Drew Gillespie, who is the owner. And Drew, for a guy like me who is kind of a wimp when it comes to beers, I'm not really into the craft beer, the strong beers, but tell us what we're drinking here, because I like what I'm drinking so far.
Fantastic.
What's this beer called again?
So this is the Pike Pils. So
Pike Pils.
Our classic take on a German-style Pilsner with American hops. There's some Mosaic in there, some non-traditional stuff from a traditional standpoint, but really giving it that nice balance you're looking for. With
A little bite.
Tell us about the history of this place. I mean, this place is, Parkland is, as viewers watch our show know, is into the collectible world. The walls of this place, how long is
I
this
love
place been
vintage
here?
advertising. Some of these trays here look like they're from the turn of the century, original trays. So somebody's been a long-time collector.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
Charles Finkel is our founder.
Yeah.
And he's the one that created our company. We've been around for 31 years. And he started this collection because he loves history, he loves advertising as well. And then as we come into this space, it's a place to show that off. So we actually have a museum room that's dedicated to the history of beer from 9,000 years ago to current.
Oh, that's great. And your beer, you brew it right here on the property,
Exactly,
don't you? Yeah.
right downstairs on site. People ask if we brew it here.
Yeah.
We have 3 floors, all in the Pike, right next to the Pike Place Market.
We've all heard of wine snobs, wine tasting snobs, but there really are beer snobs now because there is so much choice now, isn't there? I mean, compared to 20 years ago, you had your,
goodness.
your store-bought big brands, but now there's a billion different types of beer. What's the most popular emerging style of beer or type of beer that you see people loving these days?
It really is that IPA category.
The IPA,
It's a dominant category. It's also really broad, so it's easy to say. IPAs generate in the States about 50% of all beer sales for craft beer segment. But within that, like this one isn't bitter. You might have another one that is. So it really depends on what flavor profile.
I don't remember there even being pale ale in bars when I grew up, but everywhere you go now, there's pale ale.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely.
Well, listen, we appreciate you having us here, Drew, and
Cheers.
thanks for the pint.
Cheers.
And you know what this tastes like? It tastes like another.
Another one coming.
Tastes like another one.
Cheers, man. Well, his name is synonymous with food and restaurants in Seattle. We're with Tom Douglas right now. It's a great thrill to have him on our show, and we're at your very first place, Tom?
Yep, called the Dahlia Lounge.
30 years?
30 years. We celebrated last November. A friend of mine was having this illicit affair, and his code name for the room where he would meet his lover was called the Dahlia Lounge, right at the Western Hotel, right down the street here. And that's where the name came from.
What a sassy, illicit story. I like that.
Yeah. I'm surprised I knew the word illicit. We were used to be a half block down the street, and when we first opened, we struggled mightily for a few years. And then we got our first big award, a James Beard Award, which for us is
That's huge.
top of the heap. And I ended up getting nominated for like 30 of them over my career. Only won 3 though. I'm not sure if that's good.
All right.
I guess it's always about the nomination. Right?
Yeah.
Can I ask, the thing is, I mean, I've had a half dozen friends that have tried to open restaurants. Everybody wants to open a restaurant. Besides good food, what else is the secret to success in the restaurant business? Because you're clearly successful.
There's really no secret. It is your team. You live and die by the strength of the team that greets you at the front door, that serves you at the table, that washes your dishes and cleans up.
Surround yourself with great people.
Yeah.
Oh,
And by the
I
way-
have almost 1,000 that I've surrounded myself with, and
Wow.
it
Great,
is-
great people, and we mentioned earlier, great lighting. We're both
Well,
lighting
I like
nuts.
the darkness.
I
I like
love
the
the
darkness.
lighting.
And
The
when
light-
we talk about it in our manager meetings, we talk about what your job is as the manager of this restaurant is to walk in that front door and to look around on your way in. It's like, what's it look like? What's it feel like? How were you greeted? What's the music like? What's the sound like? Go right back to the restroom. Is it clean? You know, all those kind of things. We talk about every shift, every day.
It comes down to atmosphere. You got to have a nice atmosphere. You want to go to a
It
nice
doesn't
restaurant.
come down to, I would disagree just a little bit. That's a piece of the puzzle. But at the end of the day, it's all of it. You have to have good food, good atmosphere. And that's how I decide if I'm opening a new restaurant, right? I look at the location, I look at the rent, I look at my chefs that I have in my stable, like who can kind of go do this.
Yeah.
Then I look at the financing and I look at the rent. And then I say, okay, I'm going to play my hand, right? And that's how I decide if I'm going to open a new business or not. And sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And luckily for me, I've had a really good track record of winning, and that's awesome.
Well, all our
I'm very
friends,
thankful.
all our foodie friends couldn't believe we were meeting you. So
No.
you're well known in our country. You're well known in your country, of course. And thanks so much for the hospitality.
Tom.
We look forward to
Cheers.
having a glass of wine and a bite to eat.
All right.
Cheers.
Welcome.
Well, there are some fascinating monuments and statues that you'll see in the city of Seattle, including this, what's behind us?
That's a giant popsicle. You don't see many popsicles anymore, let alone giant ones.
Yep.
It does look delicious, though, doesn't it?
Wow. Thank you. Give Darren Parkman the Peabody Award right now for brilliant content. But no, you don't see popsicles, giant popsicles everywhere.
You know what? You hardly ever see them
No,
anymore.
I don't even see popsicles.
When I was a kid in my neighborhood, it was full of giant popsicles.
Yeah.
We used to run out and
There's a guy that lived across the street. You got a little concerned.
8 or
about
10 of us would eat one. And
Let's keep walking.
let's do that. All right.
Yeah, there's that guy across the street that all the neighborhood was concerned about that dressed as a giant popsicle. Yeah, that guy. All right, let's go this way. Well, I tell you, one of the things you got to check out when you're in Seattle is the Museum of Pop Culture known as Mopop.
That's how the kids say it, Mopop.
That's what they do, yeah. It's fabulous.
There are some great rock and roll memorabilia inside this building, including some really great stuff focusing on famous Seattle artists.
Yeah, Nirvana, Jimi Hendrix, all those, yeah.
And this brings back great memories for me.
How so?
Well, I used to play the axe myself when I was younger.
You used to play the what?
The axe, that's what we call it in the business.
Oh, okay.
My music turned on a lot of people back
Really?
in the day, sir, yes.
You got a photo or anything of you in the back of the day?
Well, we had a band called the Automatics.
Really? Oh, this is your photo here. Oh, that's lovely. Wonderful.
How do you
Really
like
rocking
that hair?
Paul
Yeah.
McCartney, Prince Valiant look. I
Thank
see.
you, yeah, thank you very much. And
what happened with the band?
well, it's it was great at the beginning, and then we, like I said, we became too big. That was the problem.
Really?
A lot of lawyers, and it became about money and that whole thing.
You were 7. Well, Parkman and I find ourselves with Brooks. He is the senior curator here at Mopop. And Brooks, thank you for having us. This, first of all, we're standing is pretty remarkable.
Just walking around, there's some very cool items we've already seen, but tell us about some of the more popular and famous exhibits here.
Well, we got our start as a music museum 20 years ago. This is actually our 20th anniversary this year. So we still really like to focus on the Northwest music scene, Jimi Hendrix especially, because Hendrix was born and raised here.
This is actually kind of cool. This is Jimi Hendrix's original diary here, and in it on this day, he's talking about meeting Canadian legend Joni Mitchell.
It's very cool.
Isn't that cool? Yeah, look at that.
Nirvana and the grunge scene, we always have exhibits devoted to them.
It's crazy how many great artists came out of Seattle. Pretty impressive guitars here, some real early guitars from some pretty famous artists.
The electric guitar is one of our focus areas. Honestly, our founder was an electric guitar player, really into it, and so we have collected or borrowed from way back when to the modern day.
And tell us about this the structure behind us here.
Yeah. So this is both a sculpture and a musical instrument. It was created by a sort of mad scientist artist named Kirkland. He's local.
This is one instrument, so all these guitars together, and you can play them all at once?
Guitars play on a sort of automated system.
Oh, really? Okay.
Periodically it plays music, and it's actually set up so that other composers can come in and compose for it, and it'll play their compositions.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Thank you, Brooks.
All right, just stop, okay? Enough.
What?
Enough.
Oh, I was playing the drums here.
No, enough.
All right.
Okay? You can't play, can you?
No, I cannot, actually.
Okay, thank you. We're
I can
admitting
barely
that.
stand up, actually. Well, we're here at the Beach Cafe at the Woodmark, and I got to tell you, I had one of the best meals of my life in this restaurant a number of years ago. So excited to be back, and we're with the executive chef, Brian, who has been here for 3 or 4 months, so you've had a chance to observe what's going on here. We've got a number of items here. Let's start with this one right here.
So that one's a seared ahi tuna. It's crusted in black sesame seeds. Pretty traditional. It's sitting on a bed of kimchi quinoa. And then it's served with baby romaine on a carpaccio with pecorino cheese.
Yeah.
And then dressed with a wasabi Caesar dressing.
Give that little
Yeah,
bite
give
to
that
it.
little bite.
Yeah. This is one of your signature dishes here, I know, and I can't wait to dig in as soon as we stop filming. It's your clams. Talk about what you've done with this.
These are local clams from Westcott Bay. It's served in a garlic and chorizo broth, finished with butter, chopped herbs, and garnished with focaccia toast crouton.
How important is the local element, the angle, to you?
It's very important. I feel like being from the Northwest, we're in the mecca of lots of seafood, Dungeness crab, salmon, especially with the salmon runs coming up locally in the spring. So I like to put a lot of emphasis on my cuisine and focus on that.
Let's move to this next dish here, which looks very delicious. It's getting better and better as we go along here.
Yes. So this is an American akaushi. It's American Kobe beef. So this is a 16-ounce T-bone steak. And it's very simply prepared, just salt, pepper, smothered in butter, grilled, and then finished with fingerling potatoes and a garlic spinach.
Now, I hear you guys do this very well here, the burger.
The burger is great. It's another one of our signature things, a great hit at lunch. And that's served with a honey pepper bacon. Tomato jam is in there. Beecher's White Cheddar, which is a local creamery right down at Pike Place Market.
Yeah, we were just there yesterday, of course, yeah.
And then garnished with the avocado, lettuce, tomato, and then a sesame seed brioche bun.
We're going to go to the sea over here with this last one.
Yeah, so this is a wild king salmon. We got our white and green spring asparagus with a basil goat cheese mashed potato. And then that's garnished with our local morel mushrooms and kumquats, little candied kumquats for the little
Oh, very
sweetness.
nice. Well, listen, I know you're a busy guy. I appreciate you taking time to talk to us today. It's
thank you.
Executive Chef Brian here at the Beach Cafe at the Woodmark.
Check that out. I did a burnout. See that? I did a burnout.
What are you, like 11?
That's pretty good. Well, cycling is actually pretty popular here in Kirkland. And we're on one of the main trails here called the Cross Kirkland Corridor. It's a brisk day, but it's a good way to get some exercise.
We're getting some exercise, and I've got a surprise for you.
What's that?
At the end of this little jaunt that we're doing, this little exercise, there may be a beer for you.
It's like Christmas and my birthday
I
all
know.
rolled into one.
Keep going.
Thank you. You see that burnout I did? High five, come on. Look, a babbling brook.
It's my favorite actor.
You know, something's starting to bother me.
What's that?
Well, when I was a kid, I looked so cool on my bike. All the other kids in the neighborhood admired me.
Yeah.
But now I think I might just look like an aging moron.
No.
Our ride is switching from gravel to pavement here.
And I see a road right here.
That's good.
That means we're almost ready to have a beer.
Yes, it does mean that.
Here we go. Straight ahead. Speed bump.
Oh, that hurt. I felt that.
Kidneys, lawyers.
Felt that. Right there. Oh, here it is.
Wow. We made it.
We made it. Time for a frosty cold one, sir.
Final destination is Chainline Brewing Company.
Well, we wrap things up with what I feel is a well-deserved glass of red here at the classy Lynn's Bistro in downtown Kirkland.
That's right, buddy, but before we leave, as we always do, let's check out Jim and Darren's top 5 coolest things about our trip to Kirkland and Seattle.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Number 5, jamming on the guitar at the Mopop Museum.
And playing the drums like a rock star. Number 4,
sampling some fine brews with our new best friend, Drew Gillespie from the Pike Brewing Company.
Cheers.
Cheers.
What number is this, 4 or 5? I've lost count.
Well, it's number 4 in our top 5, but that's your 4th beer, yes.
Number 3.
Getting the corkscrew to the city here in Kirkland. This is such an honor.
That doesn't sound right, corkscrew.
I'm framing this.
Corkscrew key to the wine cellar, I think sounds better. Anyway, thank you, Mary.
You bet.
Number 2.
It's got to be hanging out with our new buddy Bill Gates here on Lake Washington.
Hanging out?
Well, loitering around his house anyway.
And the number 1 coolest thing about our trip to Kirkland, Washington.
Exercising hard on the Kirkland Corridor. Whoa, you okay there? And we worked up a man-sized thirst.
Cycling is done.
It is done. Let's go.
See you next time on The Travel Guys.
Post-production services by First Anniversary Pictures.
While in Kirkland, the Travel Guys stayed at the Woodmark Hotel, a destination luxury hotel. And in Seattle, at the Sound Hotel, in the heart of Belltown.
Yeah.
What's your dog's name?
Miko.
Miko? Hey there, little Miko.
And it's very dog friendly too.
Hey, he's got a little coat on there.
Of course he does.
Did you make that coat for him?
No.
What is the best thing about Kirkland?
The waterfront. It's an awesome view.
It is pretty nice, yeah. You got a big boat down there?
No. Do you?
Goodness, no. I'm in media. How could I possibly have that kind of money?
Best thing about Kirkland?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely the port.
The port?
The port. I love the port, just looking out over the water. It's nice.
You know, while we're drinking beer, I got a little trivia for you.
Okay.
Can you name the massive worldwide chain that started right here in Kirkland? It's a store chain. You got 5 seconds. Now you got 3 seconds. You've got 2 seconds, 1 second. You're out of the game.
Can I
You're
take
disqualified.
famous cathedrals? I know them better.
So you're confused, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Okay,
You got
what
too
is
many
it?
drinks.
So give the question again.
World headquarters of Costco.
Really?
Costco started right here in Kirkland. Yes.
Wow.